Oil Stream. Dusty and Tommy Gazzola. Tommy's the man of the people. He's dishing out stickers. He's dishing out decals. He's dishing out lanyards, and he's climbing on in here. We are live at the Argyll Boston Pizza. If you want to swing by, filling up pretty good actually. When I got here, Lynn was saying, she goes, this place gets really busy for lunch. So they put us over here in the corner. We wouldn't interrupt anybody. That's the last thing we want to do. But it's starting to fill up pretty good here. So if you want to swing on by, we got a few nasties in the house. Let's turn on your mic there. Tommy Gazzola as well.
Buongiorno.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Hey,
I'm
Tom,
hungry.
Welcome to the off season.
Oh,
hey,
my
God.
goodness. What off season?
What a run. Well,
says.
this year kind of what off season is true. Like
yeah.
this is not gonna take very long here.
No.
So we've got lots to get to. If you are watching right now on YouTube, you can hammer the thumbs up. Fire us any comments or questions that you do have. We'll get to a few of those as we work our way through the day as well. And if you are listening on TuneIn, iHeart, or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, please feel free to fire us a text at 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. We're going to talk about off-season priorities. We're going to break down what has happened the last couple of days as well. Players are talking right now.
Right now
They're talking management tomorrow.
Management tomorrow.
Does that include a new GM tomorrow?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I haven't.
I'm just trying to think, if you don't intro a new GM tomorrow, when do you do it?
I think, I don't know. I haven't checked in. I haven't, like, this whole Stanley Cup playoffs and the run to the Cup Game 7 has kind of, like, distracted all of us for good reason, and understandably so. So this has kind of been the perfect cover for OEG and the management team to kind of keep things under wraps, and they've done a good job of that. Like, I even asked Pagnotta. Pagnotta's dialed in. Like, he's got tentacles everywhere. He's like, what was the guy in Game of Thrones that he had his
Littlefinger.
Pagnotta
is definitely Littlefinger. He's Littlefinger. Littlefinger ran a brothel.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Dave wanted to, he is.
I'm just curious. Like,
he is not part of one, at least that I know of.
Do you think brothels nowadays are like brothels on Game of Thrones, or do you think it's different now? Like, do you think it's just an open door orgy, or is it different?
Well, what did they say? That's the oldest profession in all of mankind.
Yeah.
Well, it's lucrative, that's for sure. Not that I'm condoning it, but yeah, I think the premise is the same.
Things are off the rails. I've had half a blue moon. I'm running on no
three
sleep.
Sips, yeah.
Yeah. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers to the off season.
We got lots going on in the off season as well. X-Ray J, what's going on, everybody? Thank you very much for being here. Eric Weinstein is in over in the Nasty Chat. Says, guys, I'm a Panthers fan, and it was clearly a battle between good and evil. The Panthers representing all that is good and wholesome.
What?
And the Oilers, the exact opposite. Good prevailed.
Okay.
I love it. I think it's fun. Like, I think that type of stuff is fun. So let's have some fun with it, man. Why not?
You want me to fix
it was a hell of a series. You want to turn the camera, move the camera
Does
up a little
it look
bit?
tilted to you?
Well, it looks. I mean, my head's getting cut off, but I'm a giant, so
yeah.
Let's see. Let me wait a second. Let me see. That's a little bit better.
Yeah, I could see it was tilted.
Oh yeah, there you go, Tommy.
There we go.
Now you're in business. This is a guy who does so many shows on location.
Yeah.
It's old hat for Tommy Gazzola.
Oh, wearing a new hat. I know Coolbet gave us these.
That's new to you?
I have not worn this one.
Well, that's a great
I had
lid.
to take the sticker off today.
People would pay like hundreds of dollars for those hats.
Yeah.
I know, because I sold like 7 of them. It was
you?
great. I used that. I put all of it on the Oilers to win Game 7.
And now your account
backfired miserably.
Bare bones.
So I'm now selling Coolbet hats. And we'll see how that goes. All right, back to the GM stuff though. Like, I know you said, what was? Sorry, I interrupted. I got sidetracked by Littlefinger and the brothels.
I mean, if we hear from a new GM tomorrow, I would be absolutely floored and blown away. I get the sense that it probably won't be till after free agency.
After free agency.
Yeah, because if they're gonna listen, Kenny Holland. The last thing I was told about the whole situation is that yes, Ken Holland will be overseeing everything still. Everything will be under him during the draft. Although, Dregs put out the thing where
he said he's not going to be at the draft.
And that's fine. But what I have noticed firsthand, and I said it a little bit on the Hangout, was it's been all hands on deck in the press box, and everybody's in town, amateur side, pro side. And I think it's like a conglomerate kind of getting this done until the new guy comes in, so to speak. which is interesting. I've never seen this before. It's a different way of handling it, but we are watching, and we're in the middle of an evolution of front offices now. Like, whereas the GM, like you look at Patrick Alvane and Jim Rutherford in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Who's making those trades? Is it Patrick Alvane or is it Jim Rutherford?
Either way, they need to do a better job.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They
calling
had a great
the
year
shots,
this year, but and then you look at Montreal's situation, right? It's Hughes and Gorton, is it not? If I recall,
there's a bunch of guys around.
So
there,
it's kind of the way hockey ops, and what we thought traditionally of a GM and its role is starting to change. There's 2 AGMs, Cami Granato being one of them in Vancouver. It has changed quite a bit. So I don't know. So the guys who are in charge for the Oilers that we need to know about are Paul Coffey and Jeff Jackson. Okay, those are the 2 big dogs just underneath Daryl Cates. And it would be Cates, Coffey, Jackson. And then Stoff, obviously, which is incredible to see his star shine brighter
playoff
than
legend.
It has lately. Yeah, he has become like the people's champ,
playoff legend.
And
man.
we've been trying to we've known this for many a moon. Speaking of Cam Moon, there's a legend in his own
Mooner's
right.
a legend too. Yeah,
a subtle legend. And then they still have a couple of AGMs in Bill Scott and Keith Gretzky. And then like Rick Precy's there on the amateur side.
That was a Jeff Jackson guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bob Green is still kicking around. So everybody's there. And I think they're just going to kind of patch it together until they're ready to unveil whoever the new GM is. There has been if Dregs isn't talking about it, if Pagnotta's not talking about it, Saravalli's not talking about it. Every time, and the way Dave described it to us last Saturday on Hello Hockey was he would see Jeff, and Jeff would be like, okay, go away. Like, no, I'm not telling you anything. And he was jokingly saying, go away. But basically, you could tell when, how it is with GMs and presidents and CEOs of teams where you're like, okay, they didn't want to talk to me no more. You walk away.
The whole, it's pretty fascinating. And you can chime in 780-218-9999. If you're in the area here, we are at the Argyll Boston Pizza today. If you want to swing on by, Yeah, go ahead.
Really quickly to Propane Pimp. Is that where you're going to go? I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Have a sip. Propane Pip says, I'm sorry, but if Jeff Jackson is just getting around to searching for the GM to replace Ken Holland today, what the hell has been doing for this last year? It's not Propane Pip. It's not that he's just getting around to it. They have kept it airtight. They've been working on this. They've had a plan.
So they got to have somebody, right? So why would you not get that guy in before free agency?
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
My best guess in the way, unless they just say tomorrow, oh, by the way, here's our new GM, because they're going to have their availability with the hockey ops side tomorrow night, or not tomorrow night, pardon me, tomorrow during the day.
Yeah.
And so if they just come on out, here's the new GM, that would surprise the hell out of me. And I think by today we would be hearing some whispers of that, and we haven't seen anything yet.
Have we even heard a short list?
We've guessed on a few people.
Yeah, we've guessed
Mark Hunter, and I know there are people talking about Tulsky, and he gets
he's in Carolina.
He gets the promotion in
Rocket
Carolina.
Science.
Yeah, and that was the thing, is the other thing that came of that was Tulsky's been calling the shots in Carolina apparently, and Waddell was the guy that had to make the calls.
Yeah. So
had to make the literal phone calls.
He was like, do this.
Yeah.
And then Waddell would try to make it happen.
Now Waddell gets to oversee the Jackets. And then the other one, every time I've mentioned Dave Gagne a bunch of times because that was a name that was thrown out there so long ago. Every time I bring up that one, it's just that's not happening. But I don't know, because it's so shrouded in mystery. It's I don't really know. Is there a guy that has worked with, let's assume it's somebody that's tied to Jeff Jackson, that worked with him in the past that might, and that's where I think Mark Hunter makes sense, because Hunter was part of the Leafs organization. Jeff Jackson was there for a while. That's a possibility, I think, because what have we seen under Jeff Jackson's short tenure is it's people he knows and has worked with, right?
Yeah.
And people he trusts.
Is there, because it's been so quiet on this front, could the next general manager be in that group of guys that you already kind of laid out who are part of this
maybe
sort of big group that are running it right now?
The one guy that stands out to me, and I assumed last year even that he didn't want anything to do with it, and he likes being out of the limelight and in the shadows, and that's Keith Gretzky. But I actually talked to him, like, what about you? And he goes, yeah, I'd be interested.
Yeah.
And there's times where him and I have a good relationship. We're friends, and I value and appreciate him as a person more so than the work side. And the work side, we know our boundaries, but I genuinely just said, what about you? And he goes, yeah, I would be interested. I'm like, really? I didn't think you would be. And that's a guy that, I think has put in his time and paid his dues. And he understands too. The other thing is, like, if people are listening, oh, Keith Gretzky, like, didn't they have him as AGM? He was on mop-up duty after Chiarelli. He wasn't really doing much, just basically making the thing float into the harbor, essentially. And he understands, like, the name and the nepotism. This guy is a smart guy. So maybe there's an outside chance, but they've kept this pretty tight, and that's a credit to them because it used to be a leaky vessel, and it's kind of tightened up.
And there's zero chances Paul Coffey.
I don't think Paul Coffey wants to be.
He doesn't want
I would
that
be.
job.
I would be
like
floored
he's heavily involved in the decision making.
Oh yes, but the other
just
thing
throw the title on him, and him and Jeff Jackson just continue to work together on everything.
This is another thing that I was told about Paul Coffey is, this situation. Jeff Jackson, this is his call.
Yeah.
On the GM, it's not Paul Coffey's, not Cates's. I'm sure that those two, could have an opinion.
As it should be. I mean, it should
Rightly
be Jeff
so,
Jackson's call,
but
right?
It's Jeff Jackson's call on this one.
All right, 780-218-9999. We're at the Argyll Boston Pizza. The oil stream is presented to you by all the Boston Pizzas in northern Alberta. We just happen to be at the Argyll location today, having a couple of bevies. Lunch is picking up here
busy
right now as well.
Yeah.
No, it's nice. It's a good buzz in here. As somebody pointed out in the nasty chat, if you're looking on YouTube right now, there's a guy over my shoulder who looks like he has the same shirt as me.
Yeah, is that your shirt too, by the way, or is that one of the girls'
No, that's Lynn's jacket.
Oh, okay. But it's your style.
That's not my shirt.
It looked a little small.
That shirt would not button up on me. I'll just tell you that right now.
I was like, oh, you going with the more of a Euro look?
No, it's a nice looking jacket. I mean, if that was a shirt my size, I would wear it. 100%.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's nice looking shirt.
And it's a pattern and color scheme that works for men and women.
This guy right above my shoulder here. That's a shirt that I want to get my hands on right there. Look at this guy's shirt.
Right up your alley.
God, that's real nice. I wonder if I know that guy. What if we're related?
Feel this shirt. How soft is that?
Well, it's a very soft shirt.
Thank you.
I don't like those shirts.
What?
No, I don't know.
They're too comfortable?
They're too comfy. I couldn't wear it out. Like, I'll lay on the couch with that shirt, but I don't think I could wear it out.
You could wear it out.
Nah, maybe it's an undershirt. No, it's
not. It's an overshirt. It's very soft.
No, you're wearing it under something.
I'm wearing a light jacket.
Okay, all right, fine. Anyway, I like that guy's shirt. 780-218-9999. Hit us up in the nasty chat as well. RCN is in and says, guys, one of the insiders yesterday mentioned Mark Hunter and Stan Bowman. I forget who. Maybe Elliott and Merrick. For what it's worth, John Ferguson Jr. was the GM who hired Jeff Jackson as an AGM in Toronto.
I don't know about John Ferguson Jr. Nice guy. Really nice guy. I had drinks with him like 2 summers ago. Kelly's Patio.
What?
Seriously.
Of course.
Yeah.
Classic Kelly story.
Very nice guy. I know he's been scouting a lot. I don't know if it'd be John Ferguson Jr., although he would fit into that because
the relationship with Jackson.
Yeah, but as well as the evolution of hockey ops and the GM role, it is still an old boys club, and that's kind of why Waddell would be the guy making the calls, and it'd be Tulsky giving him the guidance. Here's what we should target, and then Waddell would have to execute on that. And John Ferguson Jr. falls into that. Everybody knows him. Everybody seems to get along with him type of guy. But I don't know.
Calvin C. says, I wonder if Staios would have been a candidate if he didn't go to the Sens. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot there that will not become public. If it does, I'd be very surprised. Look, I'll just say this. The intention for Steve Staios was to go to the Ottawa Senators as soon as Andlauer won the right to buy the Senators.
Do you think Steve Staios played the Oilers against the Sens a little bit? Yeah.
I'll just say yes.
Yeah, so I don't think he was ever – I mean, I think they were considering him.
They wanted
to be
him.
the guy.
Wanted him. That was the guy.
I think he fell out of favor a little bit.
That's one way to find your way to
that's a
where
fair
you
way to
want
put
go.
it, right? Like,
That's a very nice way of putting it.
so he kind of snaked his way into the gig in Ottawa because he knew that was coming down the pipe.
Just being smart.
Yeah. So
yeah,
there's that.
there is that.
People are saying there's a Dusty doppelganger. Yeah. We already talked about that guy. Yeah. Great looking shirt. I probably want to go buy the same one. Somebody texted in and said, Sheldon, not in a white garbage truck, says, hey, Dusty, you got to go full soccer kit and swap with that guy. Wouldn't that be something?
And shake hands.
Just go out to him, pictures. Like, I can put on your undershirt. And
this is not an undershirt.
Well, I mean,
t-shirt.
You are wearing it under something. So
I'm wearing a light spring jacket,
I think it might
even though it's summer, but windy and cloudy.
Library Pat is in and says, Tommy, I loved the cup run, but I love the off season.
The off season is.
I love the off
season.
This
is where we flourish.
This is where you make your hay. Put your hay in the barn.
Let's go
in the off season.
Yeah.
Library Pat texts in at 780-218-9999 says, will Coffey be back on the bench next season?
Unlikely.
He's been such a revelation working with the defenders. If he's not interested in coaching in the future, that's a big hole to fill.
Paul Coffey, all credit to him. Fantastic. If he's
it was important to have him there, but
he will be around the team next year. He is an important part of the very important part of the organization. Underline, emphasis, italic, bold, all those things. The coaching aspect, he again did not want to do. I don't think he wants to continue, and I do think the role of Mark Stewart and his effectiveness has been undervalued.
Just turn it all over to him now on the back end,
and I think there will be help. My assumption is that Chris Knobloch will get to fill that role,
the Paul Coffey role,
bench with his own guy, to have one of his own guys around. And Glenn Gulletson is very, very popular among the players, especially 29 and 97. I think Mark Stewart has earned his keep, and again, I think he's very undervalued publicly. The penalty kill was his baby. And look how good it was in the postseason. Look how much better it got.
It helped save their whole year, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people overlook that, and they automatically look at Paul Coffey, and understandably so. And he had an important role to play, and there's no devaluing what Paul Coffey brings to the table. But no, I don't think the intention. I would say the intention is not for Paul Coffey to return behind the bench, and that's probably what he would want to, is to say, I don't need to be with the team every day. I don't need to be traveling around. I want to enjoy life.
He becomes, after this year, kind of like sort of what he was, like a senior consultant.
Yeah,
basically.
Yes.
Like a sounding board for a lot of the guys. Yeah.
He's the conduit between the GM, Jeff Jackson, and the owner. So that's his role.
On the Nasty Chat, hey, if you're watching on YouTube, hammer the thumbs up for us. We would appreciate that today. I like this. Jet Oil _Tom says, I'm here live because Huss and Remo are stuck trying to get to Vegas. Yeah, they're trying to go to Vegas for the draft.
Yeah.
Their flight got canceled yesterday after 6 hours of delays. So they're leaving today. So they couldn't do Winnipeg Sports Talk today. So we appreciate you popping by. Winnipeg Sports Talk, obviously good partners and friends of ours.
Yes.
And they ended up having to go Winnipeg, Vancouver, Vegas. I have to head to the airport like as soon as we're done this.
Yeah.
I might actually see Huss and Remo at the Vancouver airport by the time I get in.
God.
Wouldn't that be something?
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Worlds collide. That is a social media opportunity, as we know, because if it doesn't happen on the gram or Twitter, it doesn't happen in real life. And then I'll maybe throw it on TikTok too. And then, what are you calling the game tomorrow?
I'm doing tomorrow's game. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow's game, and then
I don't like the Elks' chances.
Calgary and Winnipeg. On Saturday.
Busy boy.
And then home, and hopefully straight to the Elks afternoon game, or not the Elks, Riverhawks afternoon game.
That's a great way to spend an afternoon.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go to the Canada game too. So a double dose of the Riverhawks.
I might see you there
for us. So that should be a lot of fun. All right, the players are having availability right now. If you want to pass anything along there, we'll obviously try to keep tabs on what's happening down in the Hall of Fame room right now. We'll get to a few of those. We're going to talk about Leon Drysaitl, obviously, on this one. People are throwing Brian Lawton's name out there for GM.
That is the...
That's not going to happen.
You know where? That's the Bob Stauffer
I know.
effect.
Well, somebody, Mark Lanigan also says Stauffer for GM. I would, like...
Do I tell the story?
Which story?
Bob for assistant GM.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I leave that one.
Let's leave that one out.
Yeah, we don't
But
need that one.
but like
What?
I know immediately you say 0%, but his relationship with Kate's, I mean, I would put it at like 0.003%.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
like there's always you never know.
Can I ask? I would ask to anybody who gets hot and heavy and excited hearing the name Brian Lawton as GM for the Oilers. I would ask you why.
Well, nobody would get
What
hot and heavy
entices
over
you?
that. Nobody would get hot or heavy over that.
Or just is that name being suggested to us because our dear friend Robert Bartholomew Stauffer talks to Lawton, has him on his show, pays him to be on there all the time?
Yeah, not in the mix, I wouldn't think.
I would not put him in the mix.
Not in the mix.
And look at his track record as a general manager.
And there's a reason he's been doing radio hits and stuff for years and years and years, right?
And he's very good at it.
He's great at that.
I
mean,
hear
that's
he's
where
a very nice guy.
That's exactly where he should stay.
I hear he's fantastic. Like, he's a great broadcaster, and he's a nice guy, I've heard. And he's been very successful in business as well.
All right, so 780-218-9999. Hit us up in the nasty chat as well. VA over there says, look at the orange slice soaking in that Belgian moon. Look at that, eh? Is that not beautiful? There's bubbles on it.
My mom would be like, you're getting your vitamin C, Dusty.
It's the only place.
You need vitamin C.
It's the only way I'm going to get it, so I might as well have it. We're the Argyll Boston Pizza live on the Oil Stream today, which, of course, is presented by Boston Pizza. A couple more nasty chats. We'll get some reaction to that. Off-season, a lot of our off-season programming here is all about being driven by you guys. I mean, your questions, your comments, your thoughts, this trade, this signing, that signing. It's our reaction to a lot of what you guys are throwing out there. So let's get to a couple of these. Let's see. Penner's Pancake says, so some articles are saying that the Oilers are actively trying to re-sign 4 UFAs. I would assume that means Janmark, Brown, Pickard, and who? Henrique or Vinny?
Henrique, don't expect him to come back. David Pagnotta, who has very good relationships with a lot of Ontario players, Henrique being one of them, said don't expect him to be back here. And what lured Henrique here was the chance at a Stanley Cup. It wasn't, oh, you could be with McDavid and Drysaitl for years. It was just this opportunity, this chance. The moment was there, and he could bump up his value because he's a 34-year-old. And this is going to probably be his last significant contract in the NHL. Last chance at probably a multi-year deal. And it worked out well for both parties. But I do not expect to see Adam Henrique back with the orange and blue. If I'm wrong, that's fine. I am tentative about his age.
So if they are trying to re-sign 4 of the UFAs, Janmark, Brown, Pickard, and Vinny?
That makes a lot of sense.
That would make sense as the 4.
That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, you keep Desharnais. I think whatever he was asking, he's not going to get that. He's going to be a great 7.
Yes.
Desharnais would be an excellent 7. And then, Brown and Janmark earned another contract, I think, with what they did in the playoffs, a reasonable one.
I want to see a haircut for Brown. This is me personally, and I think everybody would, for the most part, agree because of how lucrative that deal was.
For sure.
And I heard earlier, I think it was on the Lock Shop you were talking, and something about Brown came up, or a second line right wing. That was supposed to be Brown.
Yeah, that was this morning on the show.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. That was.
I said the way he played in the playoffs looked like a guy that they slotted in like with McDavid at the very beginning of the season briefly.
Now, I'm not saying if you were to re-sign here, you just thrust him into the top 6. He'd probably have to work his way up there. But he became a very effective player in the postseason. I know he was playing pissed off because he didn't play in that LA series. And he was finding a little bit of a groove late in the season. But what we saw in the playoffs, a pissed off, motivated, healthier Connor Brown, that was the guy everybody was expecting when they signed him. And Stephen Wino said it great last week on the Oil Stream pre- and post-game show. It's an injury that takes over a calendar year, to actually come back from. And Connor Brown finally started to come back from it, which is good.
If you get that Connor Brown for the whole year next year, I think he helps the team significantly.
100%.
So that's one that you would certainly want to look at. I like this. Mark Lanigan is copying and pasting Drysaitl quotes in the chat for us, so we don't need to go to a bunch of different places. This is from the availability today. I will give you the most boring answer. I will sit down and talk to my agent, talk to the Oilers, find out what they want. I love playing in Edmonton. I am well aware of what is going on, but I haven't spent much time thinking about what I want to do. That is the quote from today on Drysaitl and a possible contract extension.
He is going to play this to a T. He's going to be disciplined like all good Germans are. It's not going to be sexy, and he's not going to tease anybody. And I actually respect it. Like, there's a lot of times like, come on, Leon. And having known him,
that's just a straight up honest answer right there.
He's gonna maximize this This is his big one. I know the Oilers are willing to give him his big one. The appetite on both sides is there. I'm not, and I've stayed with this the whole way through. I'm not as scared as some that he's going to walk away.
I think they stay.
So
I think both of them stay. I thought Jamie McLennan brought up an interesting point on our show this morning. In that, does he take like an Austin Matthews deal where he says
he's going to get more than Matthews?
No, I know I'm money wise, but I'm saying, does he say I want $14 million?
Yes,
for 4 years.
He could,
and I think that would be the middle ground where you still get the rest of prime Drysaitl.
Yep.
He gets to try to deliver a Stanley Cup here.
Yep.
And then if it hasn't worked out, he'd be 33.
Yep.
And he could still go cash in on a monster deal somewhere.
Yep.
Or if it works out here and they win 2 of the next 3 or something, then you're sitting here going, man, we get a full-blown dynasty. I think that's probably the best. If you're Leon Draisaitl, I think that's probably the best way to go about it.
Also, yes. And I know we've become used to the 6, 7, 8 year deals. And I think you want that like assurance in your mind. And we as hockey fans want that assurance in our minds. But a 4-year deal, thank you. A 4-year deal used to be a long contract. And I think that's beneficial to both sides. Like what if Drysaitl, like something, this is just hypothetical, obviously. Like what if something soured from an organizational city standpoint? And I don't think that would happen. But what if?
You'd have to turn pretty
sour.
Yeah,
like what if? And then both sides could be like, okay, this is it. We walk away, wash our hands. Thank you for 14 great years. We appreciate you, but this isn't working anymore. And you walk away amicably. You know what I mean? Like a 4-year deal, if that were to occur, opens the door to that. It's another option. And that I think is okay, in my opinion. I know others want to see him. They probably want to see him as a lifetime Oiler and legacy, and that could still happen. Look at Evgeny Malkin.
Yeah.
He sounded like he was going to walk. Took a peek around the block and was like, no, I'm coming back.
His best chance to make the most money and his best chance to win, in my opinion, is here. That's what guys want.
The money and perks exist just as good here in terms of like straight up money as they do anywhere else in the league. You have an owner that won't scrimp on player salaries. He'll pay you what you want, what he thinks you deserve. And if you're one of the best in the world, like Drysaitl is, he will pay and do that. Is it cold? Is it miserable in January and February? Yep. But this kid knows that. He's been here for a long time. They are privy to private jets. And if the wife or girlfriend is looking to get to somewhere warm when it's damn cold,
they can go wherever they want.
They can go wherever the hell. And they've done that. I don't know how many people follow the girlfriends and wives, but smartly and luckily, they go on trips and they go and enjoy warm weather and do stuff. It's not like their guys are around. They're all at the rink and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I mean, this just in, when you're rich, you can go whenever you want, wherever you want. Like,
and when you're super rich and you have planes at your availability whenever you want.
Yeah, it's very easy.
The ladies will play.
This is not me rushing to the airport this afternoon to try to make sure I make a plane that doesn't leave.
And hoarding points.
Yeah, I do like hoarding points.
It is a good thing to do.
I use all our points to go on like our family vacation every year. So it's a real nice scam I've got set up with TSN. Oh, I just got a notification.
What?
Oh, man, if my flight's been delayed, I'm going to be pissed.
Please update live.
Flight to Vancouver now departs from gate 56.
So just a gate
change.
That's
okay, just a gate change.
Okay.
That's a gate change. It's down to the that's okay. I'll take gate change. Give me gate change. I don't need no delay though.
Yeah.
That would suck. All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. We were asking a little bit later on. I know somebody immediately, I said, what do we think about Drysaitl signing like just a 4-year deal? And I mean, if he can't get what he wants, and I think in the end, Daryl Cates just goes, here you go, 8 years, put a number on this. It can't be more than McDavid.
I've said
more than what McDavid's next one is. Right? Like,
and that's a good way. But Uncle Daryl just opens the vault, says, take what you want, stay here, let's win, make it glorious. And I mean, Dusty, there were question marks after 17-18, 18-19, the struggles after the qualifying round loss and the first round loss to Winnipeg. But all of those, especially after the team went to the conference final and got swept by Colorado, all the big boys were reassured in the organization and the path forward. And I think since then, it's only gotten stronger. Because I know they lost in the second round last year to Vegas in the 6th game, but what they did this year, they know that it is here. They were within 1 goal of winning. They know. These guys
McDavid
aren't
was
dumb.
quoted today saying the belief has never been stronger.
Yeah.
And it should be.
Yep.
It should be. I had people last night, or like this morning, we woke up, Eric and I had people going, it's statistically proven that they're more likely to miss the playoffs next year than get back to the Stanley Cup final. But I'm sitting there going, Florida went to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. Tampa Bay went to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals.
Yes.
Like teams, so what is that? Over the last, 6 Stanley Cups? 3 of them have featured Tampa, 2 of them have featured Florida, but Edmonton can't get back to one next year? What are we talking about here?
And that's just statistics and it's what's happened in the past. I will say this. Next year at the start, I think is going to be a bit rough. And I say this because there's going to be guys going to get surgery, and it's going to delay their off-season training. They're all banged up. I do think this Oilers team is a playoff team, and I think that they're going to start off not as awful as this year, obviously. I think it might be a little bit shaky. They might lose some games here and there early in the season. But I think as the season progresses next year, they're going to get stronger and stronger and then try to peak at the top. And then if I'm playing like a long-term game, I think that 2 years from now, we're talking about them being in the Cup final for sure.
And, of course, I did predict a 2025 Stanley Cup championship.
You did, and it's possible.
And the moment after they don't do that, I will predict the 2026 Stanley Cup championship the very next morning. It's my thing now. It's my thing now. I think that's the only way to go about it. 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Go ahead, buddy.
May I?
Yep.
Nugent Bowman, DNB, quoted Ryan Nugent Hopkins. It's the most proud I've been to be an Edmonton Oiler. And I was just talking about 18-19, how bad things were.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Nuge in this scenario, garbage bag day, after the 18-19 season. And he was pissed off. And I grabbed him and I pulled him aside.
Was that long ago already?
It was.
Jeez.
COVID messed things up. It was like a time warp,
the calendar
the longest time warp ever. I pulled him aside and I was like, Jesus, you're actually mad. He goes, this is bullshit. Like, we shouldn't be where we're at. We shouldn't miss the playoffs 2 years in a row. We have great players. And he goes, I am mad. I'm, turning 20, I think at 26, 27 at the time. He'd been around for 8-9 years. And to see that quote it's a really good indicator of kind of where they're at. And Ryan Nugent Hopkins isn't one to make statements and quotes to grab headlines, but that's significant to me because it's a complete contrast to where they were at the end of the Chiarelli era.
780-218-9999. Oregon is up in the nasty chat as well. We'll get to a few more of those. Of course, portions of the oil stream are brought to you by Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen. Popeyes has now dropped the boneless wings. They had the bone-in wings, very popular. Now they've got the boneless wings in all the same flavors. So if you like the bone-in wings, you're going to love the boneless wings. And you can get them at all Popeyes locations. And this is going to roll for quite a while. They call it a limited time offer, baby. Able to get it for a little bit.
This one here in the nasty chat from Ryan says the Stanley Cup final scenario only works if no one else gets better. I understand that rationale, and that's logic. That's sound logic. But now the only counter I would say to that is now that the core Oilers were within grasp of the cup, 1 win, 1 goal, 2 goals away from winning a Stanley Cup. It's incredible once players like that understand how close they were, what it takes, and how much of a difference maker that is.
Well, and he makes a fair point.
It is a fair
if other
point.
teams do get better, that's fine.
And they will get better.
Yeah, but why can't the Oilers be better?
They could get
why
better.
Can't the Oilers, why can't the Oilers finish first in the division?
They could.
Why can't they have home ice throughout the entire playoffs? And why can't Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final be at home as opposed to on the road. Like
It could be.
There's still room for improvement
Sure.
on the Edmonton Oilers as
They
well.
were a flawed team.
Yeah.
And they still were that close to winning a Stanley Cup.
Also, I'm not overly concerned about the division. Yesterday on Two Guys, somebody chimed in and said, Dusty, I'm worried about the Oilers, even making the playoffs in the division. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Calgary, Anaheim, San Jose, for lack of a better term.
Calgary's going to be awful.
No, they're garbage. All three of those teams are
San
garbage.
Jose is going to suck.
They're all
again.
garbage. All three of those teams are garbage. Yeah. The Kings are the Kings. The Kings are, Darcy Kemper. Cool, man. Like the Kings will still be eliminated in the first round by whoever they play.
Stagnating.
Okay. Yeah. So then what do you have left? Vancouver and Vegas.
And Vancouver might take a step back.
Bingo. Vancouver got lucky to be, and you can't say, but from a PDO perspective, the Canucks PDO'd their way through the regular season. Yeah. Like, can they possibly be that lucky again? I'm not too sure. And then, Vegas will be a stiff test no matter what. But like Vegas is kind of like Edmonton now, in my opinion, where whatever happens, like who cares what happens in the regular season? Like, you're going to be Vegas can be a tough out in the playoffs. Oilers are going to be a tough out in the playoffs. But don't give me this garbage about worrying about the division. Like half their division are absolute train wrecks. So they'll be back in the playoffs. They've got all this experience from the playoffs right now. We'll see what the roster looks like then. But other teams, like, I don't know if this is just an Oilers fan thing and you're always worried, or if maybe that person's not a fan or whatever. But other teams have to now be concerned with how they get through the Edmonton Oilers in the West.
Yeah.
They just do. Dallas had a 2-1 series lead. Yeah. Dallas was supposed to be deeper than the Oilers. What ended up happening? The Oilers won 3 in a row and beat them in 6. So, like, the Oilers are supposed to be scared of Dallas next year? Maybe, but you're not. You're not shaking in your boots here. Like, there are going to be other good teams in the West, but the Oilers were the best team in the West this year. They were the best team in the league since they changed their head coach. Give them some respect. They just lost. Like, they were bounced away from winning the Stanley Cup. They're going to be a really good team again next year. I don't know. It frustrates me.
Fraze made a great point yesterday on Hangout. He said that now that McDavid has lost a Game 7, it's Kobe going from nice Kobe in 08 to assassin Kobe in 09 and past that, where he's going to stare you in the eyes as he shanks you. And he's going to enjoy it. And you know what? That is a thing. Like, he's not the sniper from a hidden spot in the grassy knoll. He's going to come up to you and he's going to take you down. And the motivation to guys like that is incredible. And that goes back to what I was saying a little bit earlier. But someone also, we always forget about Seattle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions.
I forgot about Seattle.
So I'm glad, and that's fine. That's fine.
No, but I don't care that I forgot about Seattle. Like, there's a reason I forgot about Seattle.
But that reminded me, and I forgot about Seattle too, to be honest with you. So I'm with you 100%. But up in the press box during the Cup final with the national media there and the big dogs are all walking around, a lot of the thought was that the Dan Bylsma hiring was a mistake. And he was not the right guy for them. Just like how Hackstall apparently wasn't the right guy for them.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
It's interesting how Seattle might have just taken a step sideways too. And after knocking off the Stanley Cup champs the year prior, which was huge.
B-Mother Review says that they weren't a bounce away. They weren't even close in Game 7. But that's
Hang
incorrect.
On, B-Mother Reviews.
That's incorrect, man.
B-Mother Reviews. Somebody asked me yesterday, it was Jess Jackson.
Our
Jess. She said, did you at any moment feel there was a time in that game where you thought it's over? And I said no. And I'm being sincere about that because they were down 1 goal. No, they were not playing their game. No, they were not controlling things like they did in games 4, 5, and 6. But when you have Connor McDavid, who just rattled off 8 points in the last 3 games, and Leon Drysaitl gutting his way through whatever he's dealing with, and I'm sure we'll find out about something soon. How can you think it's over when you're down 2-1, even though your team's not generating a ton of offensive zone time and you're being kept to the outside? You could have one flurry in a minute, and those guys, and then you had a line with Janmark Brown and Henrique that were just pumping. How can you think that your team is out of it and assume that it's over because things weren't going their way throughout the game? No way in hell. You're only down 1. They hit a post. They had that crazy scramble. They could have generated something like that and scored 2 goals in a minute. Like, how can you believe legitimately that they were out of it in Game 7 when you're only down 2-1?
They hit a post.
Yeah.
Like, if Bouchard's puck goes the other way off the post, it's a tied game. Like, to say that they weren't in it. Now, I thought when they had that mad scramble and Bobrovsky dove back and Bennett was laying the
Yeah.
when that didn't go in, I thought maybe it's not meant to be.
That's
when
fair.
I was just like, okay, maybe it's not meant
But
to
you
be today.
can't. Did you have a moment watching that where you're like, I'm just waiting for McDavid to do something magical?
Well, I thought that's what was going to have to
Yeah.
happen in the third period.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. So, but I think it's crazy to be like, they went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final against the Florida team that's already been through all the heartbreak and stuff in a Stanley Cup Final. Played a really good game, Florida did.
Yeah, they did.
And the others were still like one shot away from tying that hockey game. How can you say they weren't even close? I know they didn't crush them like they did in Games 5 and up 3-0, up 2-0, all that stuff. But to say they weren't even close, you guys, is probably stretching them a little bit. In fact, they had more grade A scoring chances in that game than the Panthers did. They didn't bury.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like they got outshot 40-12 and got pumped in the visitors' building. Like, that just wasn't the case.
Florida played a great game. They did. And they kept the Oilers to the outside. They mitigated chances. But to say, oh, they have no chance in this game while the game was going on, I think would be insane after everything we saw this season from this team.
Let's get to a few more of your comments. Portions of the O Stream obviously brought to you by Coolbet, coolbet.com, where they do have NHL future odds up for next year. Florida is the Stanley Cup favorite at plus 650. The Edmonton Oilers have the second best odds at 7-1. By the time the puck drops on the season, I would expect that number to be down 6, somewhere around 5. They will be the Stanley Cup favorite. So if you want the Edmonton Oilers, the best number I think you're going to get on them right now is 7-1. So you can go get that done over at Coolbet. When you sign for an account at Coolbet, use the code LOCKSHOP, and you get a 100% deposit bonus on initial deposit up to $200. Okay, 780-218-99. Yeah, get that. That's the one I wanted. Give me that one. I got a reaction to that.
Okay,
one.
good.
Yeah.
Good. You're fired up. You're a hot little
no,
tamale.
give it to me.
Okay, this comes in from Ryan from Saskatchewan. Says, I watched Overdrive in Toronto yesterday. Hayes and O'Neill refused to give Edmonton any credit. Quote, they might not get back. Quote, does Leon have a future there? Not sure why I did that to myself because it just pissed me off. From Ryan in Saskatchewan.
All right, who said that again?
O'Neill and Brian Hayes.
Okay, I don't care then.
I really don't care.
I mean, I don't care. Hayes has just become a hot takes machine, and O-Dog's the biggest Leafs homer in the history of the league. So, I mean, why would you care about what Hayes and O-Dog say on Overdrive? I'm sorry. Not like their job is to, like, Hayes literally has hot take segments where he tries to stir up controversy. That's the thing. Our hot takes things are jokes. Like, we have fun with that.
Yes.
But I mean, I give zero care about what those two guys say about the Edmonton Oilers and where they get. So you shouldn't get rattled over that. It doesn't matter. It's just somebody's opinion that has no connection to the market, has no clue what's going on with the team.
Yeah.
And is 4 provinces over. Like, why would you care about what they had to say? I'm sorry. I don't even know why you care about what we have to say. Why would you care what they have to say?
I appreciate that they care what we have to say. We're in the room. We talk to the players. We're there. We talk to management. We talk to staff. I am blown away. I watched a show. It was on the other network. It was on Sportsnet, and they were breaking down the Oilers, and everything they said was wrong. And this was going into the Stanley Cup final. I'm like, well, that didn't happen. That's not happening. That's old news. And I'm like, all of this is dog shit. I'm going to use that word, and I apologize. It was dog shit.
Earmuffs, kids. Dogs don't take shits.
They make dookies. and you summed it up nicely. Like, those are fun broadcasters. They're great broadcasters. They're peers and colleagues. But their takes on this team should have minimal impact on how you feel about the team.
Yeah, none. You think people in Toronto care about what we say about the Leafs?
No. And nor
Not
should
all.
they. I don't give a crap about the Leafs.
You know why? Because we might have hot takes on the Leafs, but a lot of the opinions would be very uninformed as opposed to those who are in the market.
I wouldn't
know. Like, who cares what we say about Toronto? Who cares what Toronto guys say about Edmonton? Like, they might have a national platform because their show's on for an hour or two a day, But that doesn't change anything of like their opinion being more valid. So just don't let people outside of this market with their hot takes rattle what you think about your team.
With zero connection to the team, by the way.
Cheers, Tommy.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Delicious.
This is going to be a fun offseason, man.
It's going to be great. Saskville, you were both pretty quick to pay Leon more than Matthews is getting. You sure he's worth that? I'm a big fan of both him and the team. That being said, Spen Wisely, Saskatoon fan.
Well, I'll gladly say it. Of course, Matthews is overrated. I don't know if he's got a future in Toronto. And I don't know if the Leafs are ever going to get there.
Leon Drysaitl is a better hockey player than Austin Matthews. I said it. Quote me. I don't give a crap. He is straight up a more effective and better overall hockey player than Austin Matthews.
Matthews is an incredible goal scorer. Pretty good two-way hockey player, too.
Yes.
But Leon Drysaitl, and the other thing is will he get paid more? Yes, he will. You know why? Because that contract's happening now.
Yeah.
That's why you get all these top-end guys are going to get paid more when their contract's up. That's how it works for the top 10 guys in the National Hockey League. So,
how's
yes,
Matthews
he'll get
doing
more
on the
than
PK?
Austin Matthews. What's that?
How's Matthews doing on the PK?
Well, it is funny because they always want to give him to Selke, but he doesn't really penalty kill much, does he? I mean, once again, our opinion doesn't matter.
Again,
in
not
Toronto,
Leafs guys.
But, yeah.
How ironic.
All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9990. I'm fired up talking about this
I'm enjoying
buddy.
this. This is a fun
I'm fired up talking about this
oil
offseason.
stream after they lost.
Yeah, well, this is what off season's like on the oil stream. Like, people got hot takes, people got opinions. We could basically do, and we might do this now, like, once they get their roster locked in, I'll do a different set of line combinations every single oil stream for the entire offseason.
I know.
And we can spend an hour talking about them. Like, it's great. It's absolutely terrific.
Well, somebody pointed it out going into Game 7 that we were only like a month and a half away from the list of importance when it comes to the Oilers. And I was like, oh, my God. Very true and sad and incredible all at the same time.
780-218-9999. 780-218-9999. I know Scotty Upshaw was saying today that Ken Holland might go to Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, what did they say? Holland can, like, hang around here and get paid to just hang around.
Yeah.
Like a legacy gig. I get it. But if he still wants to work in hockey, there'll be a couple places for him. And
of course.
See what happens.
He is a Hall of Famer. He's a legend. I know that, there was some texts that were actually coming in earlier via the inbox that were just ripping Ken Holland. Is he perfect? No. He has had a great run of success. He had a tough go trying to rebuild the Red Wings, and it's fine to point that out. And yes, he inherited a great team from Jimmy Devellano, but he maintained. He kept the team competitive. They won in a 10-year period. They went to the Cup final in 95? Lost to Jersey, and then they won their last one in 08. They went to the final in 09. That's important to remember, and that's impressive to do. And then, yes, there's a rough stretch with Detroit, obviously, and then he came here, and 5 years, second in the Pacific, conference final, cup final, second round. Yes, and a couple of early outs, but I'd say that's successful in a 5-year window.
Well, I asked earlier today about what the off-season priority should be. And one of the things that came back was as long as Ken Holland's no longer making decisions,
he won't be.
So he is. You're right. He's gone. Yeah. He won't be making those decisions. However, I did say this morning, and on the Nielsen show, sometimes people will be like, Dusty, you're too much of an Oilers homer. And other times people will say, Dusty, you're too hard on the team. What's going on here? So I usually take a lot of pride in that because I try to call it as it is with this team. Ken Holland brought in Zach Hyman. Mm-hmm. Ken Holland brought in Matthias Ekholm.
Yes.
These guys aren't in the Stanley Cup final without those two guys. Now, Ken Holland also gave Jack Campbell a contract that hampered the franchise to the point where if you could use that $5 million else on somebody that could have played in this final,
that could have been
maybe
the right
you end up beating the Florida. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So he did a few great things for the team to help them get to where they are. He also did some things that completely screwed the team over. So you take the good, you take the bad. In the end result is this team, when you look at the roster that they had right now, compared to the roster that they had when he took over, it is significantly better.
Yeah.
The Campbell contract is so bad, though, that, I mean, it probably stopped him from winning a Stanley Cup, to be honest with you. if he didn't have the money on Campbell just sitting there, they could have added another significant piece, and that might have been enough to put him over the top. So, that is the bad part. But, he did some good things. You have to accept the good things that he did, and he made some major errors. That's what happens with a lot of general managers in the cities, man. That's how it works. Like, nobody's going to bat 1,000 as a general manager or a head coach for that matter. Like,
that's a good point. Really quickly, Vegas is on the cusp of losing Marchessault as well, I believe. And it's going to be interesting. I think they have a new identity that's being formed under Jack Eichel. And now they have Tomas Hertl. I thought that was a sneaky good pickup. But, it's going to be interesting to watch the evolution of the Golden Knights next year. I do think it's going to be them in Edmonton.
Marchessault and Stevenson are both UFAs.
That's a guy the
30
and 33.
Chandler Stevenson would be a nice get.
He would be a perfect
How much flexibility do you think they have? Like, okay, first of all, I mean, the number one priority is to somehow get cap space from the Jack Campbell contract. I don't care how you have to do it, but you cannot go into another window year with $5 million wasted.
The goal is to trade that away, juice up. Yes, you're going to have to probably give away picks.
It's got to be very juicy.
But that is the goal. I think they want to avoid the buyout still. That was what I was told a few months ago. That's the goal, is to get rid of that without keeping money on the books as much as possible, or no cap hit, I should say. That is the key. And then, you're going to have to be tap dancing here. This is kind of a bit of a pickle that they've found themselves.
Yeah, like if they can move that, I like their flexibility on the cap heading into free agency because, like right now, all their big guys are locked up.
Yes.
Right. So it's your bottom six forwards you got to sign. Holloway and Broberg don't have arb rights, so they'll be squeezed for a promise of a full-time NHL job, which they're both very much capable of right now. And then you sprinkle around a few guys for $1 million here or there. And if you can move the Campbell thing, then you're probably going to be all right.
Speaking of which.
Yeah, go ahead. What's that?
Quotes coming out of the availabilities on Garbage Bag Day. Connor Brown said, quote, "This is where I want to be. This is where my heart is. It's really a special place to play," unquote. That's one of those.
That sounds like a guy who's going to take a very reasonable contract to stay here and play with the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
Okay, so, everybody talks about the Oilers cap situation. Maybe I'm missing something here on Vegas, but
they're in a jam.
Like,
too.
Vegas's projected cap space right now is $1.12 million.
Yeah.
They have Anthony Mantha.
He's gone.
Jonathan Marchessault and Chandler Stevenson.
Yeah.
None of those guys could even remotely be close signed to anything that they're looking at the 1.1.
They already told Mantha, thank you. Yeah. We're walking away. Marchessault, they're going to have to let go. And it sounds like Stevenson's going to.
Well, what are they? How are they going to? They can't.
They can't. They're going to have to grow from within.
They could do the classic, go over the cap in the offseason, LTR a bunch of guys in October, and just play that game all year.
As good as they are at it, I don't think that's their plan.
Yeah. So, like, Vegas's top guns are now Eichel, Stone, Hertl, and Carlson.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, but it's not McDavid, Drysaitl, Hyman, and Nuge.
Nope.
Not even remotely close.
You got two generational talents, a 50-goal scorer, and a guy who scored 100 2 years ago. That's pretty damn good.
Hey, guys, what are your thoughts on Jeff Skinner? Could be a similar deal to what Duchesne signed for with Dallas. 30-goal scorer, potentially for a bargain. I don't know. Like, I don't know from the cap perspective if they're in the market for anybody who could play in the top six, right? Like, that's
those guys that get bought out. It's interesting because some of them will take whatever flyer they're thrown because they're going to get paid anyway.
You have to go put yourself in a good spot.
But some of them take it, and then they get as much money in their next deal with the next team, and they double up the money. It depends on what Skinner's mindset is. Depends on who and what the next GM of the Oilers envisions as his team being. So, but I'm not saying no. It's just maybe.
Matt Duchesne was at $3 million.
Yeah.
Lanigan says Stevenson would be great. Imagine if you could get Marchessault here. Yeah, that's probably shooting a little bit too high.
Like, Marchessault's going to get paid still.
That Marchessault has New York Rangers written all over him. You know what I mean? Like, does he not? Like, that just seems like one of those types of things.
Yeah.
I would think that's probably the case. All right, we've been cruising along here. Let's give you the key word for the $100,000 hole in one, and then that's it for the O Stream.
Woo.
I got to get to.
Good show.
Yeah. No, this was. I love off-season oil stream.
I know.
I think it's going to be absolutely amazing, man. I can't wait. Your keyword for the $100,000 hole-in-one, if you're ready to hit the links, check it out. $100,000 hole-in-one presented by Golftown. Go to golftown.com. Jimenez, or as it sounds, Jimenez. Jimenez. Text Jimenez right now to 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999. Jimenez, Jimenez. One of you will go into the draw to be called tomorrow morning and have a swing at $100,000 a week from today out at the Ranch Golf and Country Club. What about Kane? Is it? We'll get. Look, we got save the Kane stuff.
Yeah, save it.
We got
Save
lots to get to over the next 2 months.
Yeah.
We'll have. This is what Oil Stream is. This is going to be great. I'm very much looking forward to the next couple of months on the Oil Stream. All right, Nielsen Show replays coming up at EdmontonSportsTalk.com and on TuneIn and on iHeart and Riverhawks tonight.
Yes,
that'll be happening.
They won already today. Are they playing like
they win early, don't they?
Yeah, they had an early game today too, and they won. So they're playing again tonight.
These guys.
Unbelievable,
these guys.
Athletes.
All right, that's going to do it for the Oil Stream. Cheers, Tommy.
Cheers,
first
brother.
show of the off season, and it was a good one.
That was
a good one. Shout out to YouTube Trav for holding things down. He'll pick a winner for the $100,000 hole-in-one. I'm doing CFL stuff for the next couple of days, so I'll be back on Tuesday. After we will have some free agency coverage.
Yep.
I know Maddie's planning on setting up live around 10 o'clock. And if things are moving, I'll hop on for a few minutes. Tommy hop on for a few minutes. And if anything happens with the Edmonton Oilers, we'll obviously have you covered at Edmonton Sports Talk. But I won't be back until Tuesday. So enjoy your long weekend, everybody. Tommy, have fun with the next couple of days with free agency and stuff lurking and the draft. And
it's
trades.
A long weekend?
It's a long weekend, buddy. Canada Day. We're already at Canada Day.
Oh, my God.
We're already at Canada Day with this guy. All right, that's going to do it for the Oil Stream. Live from Boston Pizza, Argyll Boston Pizza, presenting sponsor of the Oil Stream. Swing on by. This place is packed for lunch today.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing time. And, hey, enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy.